wow. Just wow. I mean, the events of this morning really have kind of thrown me for a loop. I mean, I ended up seeing like all these rumors swirling around on Facebook, on J-Ski, and I'm thinking, no, there's no truth to them. And wow. Okay, so anyway, welcome everybody here to NASCAR Talk Hot Stove, as we're going to be covering, some more of the stuff that's gone down in the last couple of weeks in relation to the 2017 Monster Energy Cup Series, which it's sounding like it's going to be Monster Energy Premier Series or something like that. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. But anyway, how about the bombshell that was dropped today? I mean, we already knew that Tony Stewart was retiring at the end of the season. He gave us that announcement back at the beginning of the 2016 season, so we already knew that was coming, with Clint Boyer going to be replacing him up until 2018 on the number 14. We kind of got close to the end of the season, the 2016 season. We were kind of thinking, okay, maybe Greg Biffle is not re-upping with Roush Fenway Racing, so more than likely he might be heading to retirement. But who would have thought that just about 3 months after he was in the Final Four with a chance of winning the championship, Carl Edwards has announced that he's retiring from NASCAR. Now, two questions I've got. Number one is, from what I saw, it said that he will not be running the 2017 season. Does this mean he's completely retiring from NASCAR, or is he taking a sabbatical, taking a bit of a hiatus? I don't know. I've been waiting to see if there's been any updates on J-Ski or anything, and there hasn't exactly been the word that he will not return. There's been the word retire, but it hasn't been exactly the word retire as in he's never coming back. Edwards has spent 13 years in the Cup Series. He made his debut, I believe it was back in 2005, I want to say. He might have made it in 2004. But, there's no doubt Carl Edwards has had quite a career. 445 starts, 28 trips to victory lane, of course, going to victory lane last year, as I said, in the hunt for the championship twice. He's been really close. He had that tie with Tony Stewart, where Tony Stewart won the tiebreaker, and of course last season he was involved in the Final Four with Joey Logano, Jimmy Johnson, and Kyle Busch. However, the fact that this has seemed to come from out of the blue is what shocks me. If Edwards was planning on retiring, why didn't he do pretty much what Tony Stewart and Brian Scott did and announce it a lot earlier? Stewart announced his retirement from the sport back before we even started the 2016 season. Brian Scott was somewhere around mid-season, maybe a little bit later, but there was a lot of time for people to be able to kind of get used to the idea. Okay, this is what sets up for 2017. This one just, we're almost about maybe a little more than a month away from the start of Speed Weeks at Daytona, and Carl Edwards makes this announcement. Now, there hasn't yet been any really explanation on why he's going to be retiring. Tony Stewart, obviously, he said that he's wanting to focus more on the business perspective of Stewart Haas Racing. Brian Scott wants to spend more time with his family, but Edwards, it just didn't seem. This one really shocked me, that with Carl Edwards retiring. But while this brings a bombshell in that respect, and obviously I'm one of the many that are very disappointed we're not going to see Carl Edwards in the sport anymore. I was actually pulling for Edwards back at Homestead, Miami to win the championship last season. But now this kind of sets everything into a bit of a frenzy heading forward, that I think that Joe Gibbs Racing is having to make some big decisions, and personally, I don't agree with one of the decisions, and we're going to get to that right now, and that is Daniel Suarez now will be coming up to the Monster Cup Series to drive the 19. Now, we talked about this back in a previous NASCAR Talk Hot Stove episode about, Eric Jones coming up to the Cup Series. Now, this is the perfect time to bring Eric Jones up. Perfectly fine. I feel this is too soon to be bringing Daniel Suarez up to the Cup Series, however. Daniel Suarez, yeah, he won the Xfinity Championship. Absolutely. No doubt about that. that doesn't, to me, give you an automatic ticket up to the Cup Series level. Um, you know, Suarez, let's face it, Suarez spent a good portion of the Xfinity Series chasing Kyle Busch, which says to me that Suarez is not quite where he needs to be up in the Cup level. But this makes it very interesting as far as the Rookie of the Year battle that's going to be going on. We're going to have Ty Dillon, Eric Jones, and now apparently Daniel Suarez. The question I have is, would Suarez be running for the Monster Cup Championship now? Because I'm pretty certain they had it all set up that he was going to be running for the Xfinity Championship. If he's not running for the Xfinity Championship and he's running for the Monster Cup Championship, then that means that somebody else is probably going to have to come up and replace him in the 19. Which, I mean, you see, this whole thing is set a domino effect that's moved from the Monster Cup Series down to the Xfinity Series, and it could affect some other series, you know, in relation to the Joe Gibbs Racing camp. I honestly feel that it is too soon to be bringing Daniel Suarez up to the Cup level. There are a couple of backup plans that I really think that Joe Gibbs Racing could have used, and they haven't utilized them. First off, you've got Greg Biffle out there looking for a ride. Sign him to a one-year deal. You know, sign him to a one-year deal, have him drive the 19 for you, and then in 2018, then you can bring Suarez up to the Cup level. Eric Jones spent, I think it was 2 seasons down in Xfinity. Suarez, I believe, should spend 2 years down in Xfinity. It just seems too rushed to me. So there's Greg Biffle you could go to. I know that maybe these drivers wouldn't exactly be first choice of drivers to maybe fill in that 19, but at least you'd have, an opportunity to, try and keep yourself up in the charter system and everything. Throw out some names here. First off, we said Greg Biffle. What about Casey Mears? What about Reed Sorensen? You've also got Jeffrey Earnhardt. You've got Bobby Labonte, who's in a semi-retirement state. Cole Witt. Why wouldn't Cole Witt be a good fit there? Cole Witt ran a number of his races last season with that 98 team, which I believe was out of Premium Motorsports, and he had some really, really good finishes near the close of the season. Cole Witt also ran pretty well in the Xfinity Series. Here's another name. Why not somebody like an Alex Bowman? I mean, we saw what a heck of a job he did in good equipment in the 88 team for Hendrick Motorsports last season. So far, all we know is Alex Bowman's going to drive the 88 car in the I guess it's now called the Busch Clash or the Clash. I don't know what it's called. Sprint Unlimited, Budweiser Shootout, that thing, the preliminary race, non-points race to start off Daytona Speed Weeks. Why, if he's signed, for that race, why can't he be put in the 19 full-time for the season, help get the team established, to be able to prepare for Daniel Suarez coming up to the 19 in 2018. Like I said, this just seems awfully hurried to me, and now they've got a dilemma. If they do indeed bring Daniel Suarez up to the Cup level, now they've got to fill in his Xfinity ride because Suarez won't be able to drive both the Xfinity car and the Monster Energy Cup car because he can only race for one championship. So now comes the question, what do you do as far as the Xfinity ride, the 19? Well, I mean, okay, let's currently look. We've already know that Joe Gibbs Racing has got some drivers lined up in their rides for the upcoming season. Of course, as far as the 18 car is concerned, we've got Matt Tifft going to be coming in driving that car. They still, according to Jayski, still have Daniel Suarez in the 19, which we know more than likely that's not going to stay if he moves up to the Cup level. And then right now, so far as we know, they don't have the 20 car. So, I mean, there's very little down there in Xfinity that they're able to work with. Are they planning on just running the one race car? Would they maybe have Matt Tifft run the 18 for the entire season full time and then have Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin, have them go down to the Xfinity level with the limited number of starts they're able to make in either the 19 car or maybe the 20 car. It's almost seeming like it would be in the 19 car. It's almost seeming like that 19 is going to turn into a place for the Cup drivers to roost. But it really, really is confusing because it just seems like with it being so hurried, there's not much of an opportunity to be able to step back, look at the options that you have available, and you may end up shooting yourself in the foot. I'm looking down here at the truck series level. Obviously, we know the affiliation between Joe Gibbs Racing and Kyle Busch Motorsports. Kyle Busch Motorsports having Noah Gragson as the number 18 driver. Look further down, you've got Kyle Busch driving a couple of races, 5 races for the 51. Todd Gilliland for 4 races. Harrison Burton will be driving the 51 at Eldora. There's just not room. There's just not, well, put it this way, actually there is room, there's just not enough drivers. Like I said, one more season for Suarez and Xfinity, put somebody in that 19 Toyota, like an Alex Bowman fill-in like he did last year, get, all the information you need, because obviously now they're going to be going to a new Toyota Camry, a new 2018 Toyota Camry one season from now. Get that information. Have somebody there that can do it, and then bring Suarez up. It's going to be, to me, too rushed. Too rushed for bringing him up to the Cup level. So, with that being said, Edwards is gone. We've lost him. We've lost Tony Stewart. We've lost Brian Scott. We've also lost, apparently, John West Townley. Townley retiring. However, that one was another one pretty similar to Tony Stewart where we kind of got the feeling. And now there's also the possibility that Greg Biffle could be retiring. So we're starting to see the ushering out of the era like circa 1999 to 2005. And now we're starting to apparently bring in the young guns of today. This also, let's not forget, puts Joe Gibbs Racing in a situation where they're going to have both Eric Jones and Daniel Suarez battling for Rookie of the Year honors. Whereas if they had gone with the original plan, decided not to bring Suarez up until 2018, you might have an opportunity for Eric Jones to win Rookie of the Year honors in 2017. Suarez comes up, wins Rookie of the Year honors in 2018. Not to say this isn't going to be good for the Rookie of the Year battle, because you also throw Ty Dillon into the mix as well. I mean, all of them know each other very well down in the Xfinity Series. But, to me, again, too rushed. Much, much too rushed. They've done this before. Teams have done this before. Penske did it with Sam Hornish Jr. Trying to think of some other examples of drivers that I felt were rushed, and it actually proved to be the case. I just had one on the tip of my tongue, and I just lost it. But, the Xfinity Series is there for development. I just think it was a wrong choice on the part of Joe Gibbs Racing to bring Suarez up to the Cup level this soon. Give him one more season in Xfinity, and then bring him up. Spend this year with somebody to fill in that ride, much like Bowman did for Junior last season, and get yourself the experience that way. I don't know. I really am very confused by this move, but it is what it is. There's not much, there's obviously nothing that can be done about it. It's the choice of Joe Gibbs Racing. We're going to have to see if it's going to be the, I don't want to say the downfall, but if it's going to cause problems for Joe Gibbs Racing in the long run. 2017 definitely shaping up to be very, very interesting in that respect. Another interesting thing, as I mentioned, 2018 could be some new Toyota Camrys coming in. Those Camrys, the pictures been released and everything. They look pretty sleek, but Chevrolet camp, there seems to be some interesting things going on because Chevrolet SS is going to be ending at the end of the year being on the U.S. market, which means that usually when a car is not produced for a street car, it's not available to a NASCAR team for them to be able to run. Now, I've heard a lot of talk about Chevrolet bringing in a different kind of car. I've heard the Chevy Cruze rumored. I've heard Chevy Camaro moving from Xfinity up to the Cup level. Is that going to be the case? I don't know. From what I'm thinking, just based on knowing how the system seems to work, I would assume that we're going to be probably still seeing Camaro stay in Xfinity. We're probably going to see the Chevy Cruze in 2018. We've also got the rumors of Dodge coming back as well. So this, 2018 shaping up to be interesting too as far as manufacturers. A new Camry, possibly Chevrolet with it. I'm assuming it's going to be the Chevy Cruze. I don't really see any other kind of, car manufacturer coming in. And then, of course, we've got Dodge. There's been no rumors as far as what's going on in the Ford camp. Still the Fusion. There's really been no talk about that changing at all. So, very interesting as far as manufacturers are concerned. But we still have some teams out there, some drivers out there that are still looking for rides, and I pretty much named off a lot of them. One of them, the big one, Greg Biffle. I mean, where in the world is Biffle going to go? Or if he can't find a ride, is he actually going to announce retirement? Don't know. But, that's, to me, that seems to be, I think, the number one priority driver that people should be trying to look at. We're going to have to see what happens in that respect. However, merging of Circle Sport and TMG. Now, Circle Sport owning the 33, TMG owning the 30. With them merging together, the 33 car now is a chartered ride, and that opens up an opportunity for somebody to maybe fill in that spot. However, here's the thought, okay? What kind of a driver would that team be looking for? We already know that Michael McDowell has been announced to be driving the 95 for Levine Family Racing, so now he's off the market. So right now, I see maybe 3 drivers that are still out there on the market available that a team like that should go after. One would be Greg Biffle, obviously, maybe in a state of semi-retirement. Secondly would be Cole Witt. I think Cole Witt's got a lot of potential still. I think he really just needs to get into a good ride. Not saying the 33 is a great ride, but it's a ride nonetheless, and it's a chartered ride. And then last but not least, Casey Mears, that 33 team, somewhat associated with Richard Childress Racing, and Casey Mears has spent a lot of his time with Germain Motorsports in that affiliation with Richard Childress Racing. So that, I think, would be a good fit as well. And from what I understand, NASCAR is actually asking that team, please let us know. Give us an announcement as soon as you can of who your driver is going to be. So keep your eyes on the news in the upcoming weeks, especially maybe in the next week and a half. I predict that more than likely we're going to find out who the driver of that 33 car is going to be. I don't know if we're going to have to wait until the start of the season if Biffle doesn't get a ride to find out if he's retiring or if he's still going to have some kind of plans of trying to run for 2016. And the interesting thing that I found out here, and I don't know if this is just the fact that they haven't really been able to update their site or not, but okay, Carl Edwards was supposed to have, or Joe Gibbs Racing was supposed to have 2 separate news conferences at 10 a.m. tomorrow, Wednesday. They're saying, okay, this is what they're saying, that Daniel Suarez will be named the replacement for Edwards at Joe Gibbs Racing, a source said. The announcement hasn't been made, okay? So while I've been going on saying, this is too soon to bring Suarez up to the main roster, it's not official. It's not written in stone yet. So we're going to have to tune in tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, find out just exactly what's going on there. Obviously, they're also going to be talking about the extension of Denny Hamlin. But, I mean, we're going to have to see. I'm ranting, I'm raving, I don't know, I have all these opinions, but we don't know the facts yet. We do not know for certain that Daniel Suarez is coming up to the Cup level. So anyway, let me know what your guys' opinions are in the comments below. Do you think Suarez should be up to the Cup level? Do you think the 19 car should be driven by somebody else for the 2017 season, and then Suarez come up to the Cup level? If so, do you see Daniel Suarez and Eric Jones being the two that will fight it out for the championship, or will Ty Dillon still enter into the mix? And last but not least, let me know, guys, who you think is going to drive that number 33 car for the merged team of Circle Sport and TMG. So that's going to do it for this segment of NASCAR Talk Hot Stove. When more news breaks out, we'll break in, and we hope that you will tune in. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Until then, I'll see you next time here on NASCAR Talk Hot Stove.